Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Thanks for tuning in again. So last video we got the mud sill finished, got the post holders all epoxied in place. That's great. And so now we're going to start the base, the bottom level. I'm going to build it out of 2x8s, and I'll try to keep you guys in the know as to what I'm going to do as I go along. Thanks for tuning in. Please like and subscribe, and I hope you have a great week. So hey guys, I thought I'd just try to fill in some information. So here's the mud sill along these posts, and then along these posts here, it's right up against the edge, and then the same over down here. So when I put this together, the piers, I didn't think about what I would lose with a 2x6 wall so I could get R22 insulation. I would like to have 12 feet interior space, but I didn't take off the 11 inches for the two 5.5 inch walls and 1/2 inch drywall or whatever I decided to do on the interior. So what I did was I pushed everything out as far as I could go. This wall here I already planned on leaving it out so that the exterior wall would cover up to the edge of the piers. The one in the middle, because I think I've mentioned before, this whole building is eventually going to be a 24 by 24 cabin. So this section right here is just the first quarter. The roof is going to slant this way, and then eventually I'm going to build the rest. The other half is going to slant that way. So in the middle I'm going to have a beam that's going to carry the second floor, and then I'm going to tie into that beam to carry the second floor of the other half, and then the front half is going to be open concept. It's just a story and a half. I shouldn't say 2-story. The wall on the exterior at the ridge board on this side here is going to be 5 feet on the second floor, and on that side it's going to be 10 feet. Well, just less, to give me like a 5/12, 6/12 pitch. Probably 5/12, I'm hoping. A little bit easier to work on when you have to do the roofing. So I just wanted to give you a little rundown with that. I'm going to start laying out the boards for the floor joists, and I'll keep on keeping on. Still not used to this talking to a camera thing. Okay, I'll get to it. Okay, so let's do a little layout. Got a couple of 2x8s up here. My span between my mud sills is only what is it, 6 feet? Oh, 6 feet. And so 2x8s is more than enough for that distance. So I'll show you how I do it. Your pieces of wood are flush at the end. both ends, because who knows with the quality and the way things are made these days. Let me get my persuader. So if they are a little bit different, then I just split the difference. These ones are just a little bit. Okay, so laying out for your floor joists. Put two boards together, and then, so let's imagine your floor joists between the I think they're called ledger boards. Okay, so just for simplification's sake, let's say that this is the edge of a subfloor, 4 feet, right? So that's where I'm going to have my seam, 4 feet from the end. Well, if I put my stud 16 inches on center starting from the end, 16 inches puts my stud here, here, and here. Well, that's no good, right? Because if you do that, the edge of your stud is here. So this whole subfloor board, 4x8 sheet, is on the board, but this one is not. So you need to take it back 3/4 of an inch so that the middle ends up being the edge of your subfloor, and then 3/4 of an inch less, 4 feet, 1.5 inches brings you there. So there's your where your board is going to sit, where your floor joist is going to run, this way, and then that way your subfloor is in the middle. So when you're starting, obviously, yes, your first one needs to go at 1.5 inches, but then when you come to your 16-inch center, just like we did over there, to make the rest of them end up being on the middle in the center, you need to take a 3/4 inch off of each one. And then you just go down the board and keep laying that out. So I'll get that done now. Oh, another thing I forgot to mention. Once you get your boards lined up, just in case there's a bump or vibration or a train goes by or whatever, airplane flies over top, what I usually do is tack them together. That way they can't move on you. Now another thing about layout too is, so my floor joists are going to be running this way, and my roof is going to run this way too. So I'm laying it out from the back wall. What I want to do, 16-inch centers all the way along here, 16-inch centers starting from the back all the way along the two walls where the roof load is going to be carried on. 16-inch centers on your second floor, 16-inch centers all from the back coming forward, so that the weight of the rafter lines up with the stud below, lines up with the stud on the first floor, lines up with your floor joists. It's not necessary. I don't think it's a code, but I'm sure it's going to make your building more structurally sound. And once you have your mark for the one, take your framing square and then line them up. And let me take, well, this framing square doesn't have the marks along the edge. I just bought this one, it's a metal one. This one here, my plastic one, it's got measuring marks along this edge with the lip, so that you can measure the other side of your stud. I usually mark both.
Okay, so I'll make my mark a little bigger, brighter, because you can't see it. You see that? Yeah, that's better. So you put your ledge edge onto the line, transfer it onto both pieces, and then when you have measuring marks here, you give yourself a little notch at 1.5 inches, mark the other side of the stud, and that's where your floor joist goes, in the middle. So I'll go down and I'll mark them all like that. Double check. Yeah, 3/4 less, 1/4 less, and so on and so forth. And just make sure I didn't screw any of them up. And when you do them together like this, then it's all done in one operation, and then you're good. Separate the boards and put them on each outside end, and then you're ready to start nailing on your boards. Oh, I lied. So now I got to take this screw out, and I'm going to lay the boards down, open them up this way, and transfer those marks down the board on the inside. And then that way, because this is a 2x8, I want to be able to see the same line on the bottom, so I don't end up putting my studs crooked. You don't want your stud to be sitting there like this. You want it to be nice and straight. Hey, here's my camera setup. So obviously, when you do the other board, I have to turn it the other way. That's why the lines are on this side on this one. I don't want to talk to you guys like you're children, so if this is annoying, I can just skip all this and get straight to work. But I was just going to show it to the ones that may not know. So another thing, when you're moving your board over, don't grab it in the middle and go like this, because now you just screwed up all your lines. You got to keep it so that your back wall end stays in the same spot. Now that's pretty brutally obvious, but I've done it, especially when I'm rushing. Hey guys, so here's an interesting point that some people may overlook. you gotta crown your lumber when you put it together. So crowning is the curvature of the boards. When you look down all these pieces of wood, they're not perfectly straight. So what you want to do is you want to go through them all one by one, pick them up, have a look at it, and try to determine which end is higher or lower than the other. You can do this by rocking it like that. So like for this board, for instance, it's rocking on this side, but if I flip it over, it doesn't rock. So this is the crown, the top, because now we know that the bow arc goes like this. So now when the weight of the building is put on it, it'll push down and make it flat. So you got to go through each piece of wood and do that before you assemble. Your walls are the same with the crown on the top, and then when you stand the wall up, the bow goes to the outside and your inside is more flush after you put your drywall or your finishing material on. It pretty much evens it out. Sometimes it'll even pull it straight. So all that has to do with the curvature of the greens in the lumber. The position of where the center of the wood was compared to the dimension of the lumber is going to cause the different diameters of rings are going to shrink at different rates, and it's going to curve the wood. It's impossible to grade. So you grade your lumber yourself kind of and crown it before you build your structure, and then you have the best that you can get out of dimensional lumber, which these days, especially if you're shopping at Home Depot or Lowe's or big box stores, is not what it used to be, even with premium lumber. Like, look at this one piece over here. That is a big knot. I don't know how that is something that is considered good from a oh, I can't lift it up, it's jammed in there. Anyway, I'll show you later. Don't be afraid to tell me in the comments about any of your projects, what you got going on. If you got a YouTube channel, let me know. I'll check it out. I like watching it just as much as I like making it, so leave me a comment, let me know what you guys like to do, what you're building, what you got going on, if it's off grid or not. So I just noticed something. 2 by 12, 2 by 8 by 12, and a 6 by 6 by 12 PT are not the same length. So what I'm going to do is, because this is going to be the center of the building down here, after I add the other 12-foot section in the front, I'm going to I'll line it up to this edge and let the back cantilever just a contour, or a little bit. Another trick that I'm going to do is I'm going to put some screws on either side of the board on each side, so that it helps it stand up and holds it kind of in its position while I put the boards. I'll put the screws in between the two floor joists, and that'll help it stand up until I get it nailed, since I'm doing this by myself. Okay. So here's one that'd make a good leisure board. It's got the wean of the wood still on this last 1.5 section. take these two also. This one here has a big crack down the center, so I'll use it as a leisure board. And this one here, why didn't I like it? Oh, it's got a crack that starts here and then goes across the grain of the top of the wood. You probably can't see that. I'll take a close-up of it later. But here's a close-up. I said I'd give you those pieces I was going to use as a ledger board. There's a weak spot there because of this crack that goes along here. That's going to lower the structural integrity of that piece. Same with this end. It's got a little bit missing on it and lots of holes, if you notice. And then this piece here has the crack right down the center, almost half the length of it. So I'm going to use those as ledger boards. They'll be married up to another good stud with screws and glue, so that'll be good. Pass load framing nailer. Framing nailer is an absolute must. If you're building a building, it makes everything so much faster. Some guys are old school and like to do it all by hand, but not so much me. I'm sweating already and I'm not even doing it yet. I knew I am in the sun, but that's just an excuse. I'm fat and overweight. So, you'll have to excuse this gun. It's old. I got it used for like $100, and then I took it all apart, cleaned it. There was a problem with the prongs in the batteries. I tweaked them to help it get contact better. Sometimes it fires, sometimes it doesn't. So you'll see me fighting with it as we go. But no rush. Get her done. So when you're nailing floor joists or walls, minimum number of nails. For a 2x4, you want to put 2 nails. For a 2x6 or a 2x8, you want to put 3 nails. For 2x10, you want to put 4, and so on. You don't want to put it right at the edge. You want to put it down like roughly 1.5 inches. And when you're using a nailer, you gotta make sure that you don't put your hand so close that when the nail goes in, if you miss, it's going to go into your fingers. I'm definitely going to need a hammer for this. Now I stood up all these joists and I can't see any tools. I thought I had it sitting here. It's definitely getting gas though. I talked to a guy who fixes these things, and he told me these old ones, there's 2 things that go the worst wrong with them, or that cause them to not work. There's a weak battery, 1, and 2, gas. Low amount of gas. So maybe this battery, it's got a big crack here. Maybe it's not making good contact or has a loose connection inside. I'll try the other battery. I charged them both up last night. Otherwise, I gotta go to the store. Not a good start. Well, I guess I get what you pay for, eh? this is definitely a battery problem. I can hear the pitch of the fan change. Oop. It's not making good contact in there.